Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is the second episode of the Inner Truth Collective podcast with yours truly, Melissa Gorecki. So I'm so happy to have you guys here tonight. Today is a big day. I don't know if anybody knows it or not. Let me hold on. While we're talking, I'm going to look at the comment section. I didn't do that last time, and I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to the comments while we're on here since I have access to it. So today is the 1212 portal. Okay. So any day of the month that has duplicate numbers, I'm constantly like, that's a portal. That is like an energy portal. So today, energetically, is a huge day. So it's really about releasing old things that no longer serve you and really stepping into what is for you. And when you do that in your life, it is so powerful. So powerful. And since that's the energy that today is giving, the guest who I had scheduled for tonight actually was not able to make it. So we rescheduled for another evening. But what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is about the story that you tell yourself. So a lot of times we all have a story. That's number one. But what story is it that in your head you're saying to yourself, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I show up? Like, what is that story for you? Who are you as a person? So, something that I like to look at is where we were in our lives, where we are, and then where we're going. Because if you don't even know where you're at, how are you going to get anywhere else? You really can't. You really can't. Say hi as you're popping on. I can see that there's viewers. I just don't know who it is. So if you want to go in the comments, say hi. I'm going to try to keep up with the comments tonight as much as I can. So the guest that I had for this evening, she won't be on tonight. However, I want to talk about the story that we're telling ourselves. What does that look like? Because we all have a story, but that's not necessarily the story we tell to ourselves. So, what I want to ask you first to sit with is when you're telling yourself a story in your head, when you think of yourself, what story are you telling? And when you're telling this story to yourself in your head, when you're saying, I am so and so, this is who I am, this is what I do, when you're doing that, whose voice do you hear? Because a lot of times we're hearing someone else's voice tell us about who we are. Whether it's someone in our past, whether it's a family member, a friend, someone who said something to you hurtful that you keep recalling, like whose voice do you hear saying these words? Because a lot of times we take on what people expect from us, not who we actually are, but who so and so wants you to be, or your parents want you to be. That's normally what people conform to. That is very different than deciding who you are and then walking that out in your life. Those are two very different things. However, you can do it because, see, you only know what you know until you know better, right? So your brain only knows what it knows. And you have not just a regular brain, like you have a subconscious, a conscious, and a super conscious mind. Like we have a mammalian brain and a reptilian brain. But if you don't even know anything about your brain, how would you know? You wouldn't. So learning about these things will help you in your journey as you're sitting here and saying, okay, What is the story of me? Who am I right now in this moment? Who am I? So for me, I had to really look at myself. When I started on my self development journey, I was like, who am I as a person? I didn't even know. Not only that, I didn't know what I liked, preferred, wanted. It was never a thing for me. It was never a thought for me because I was so busy raising kids, being a mom, working, doing the most with those things. I wasn't thinking about myself and I wasn't wondering what my story was. I wasn't wondering at that time. And now looking back, I see how we get lost in what other people tell us that we are because we're so afraid to be judged by people that we will bend and shape and mold ourselves into something we are not to cater to other people. And instead of sitting there, like when you are telling the story of yourself to yourself, whose voice is it? Is it yours? Because you're the only person in there. So all those other voices you hear, all those people that you hear, it's not even them. It's just you. But luckily, if you know that, you are able to navigate differently. Like if you know that in your head, the voice is yours. There are people who don't know. I used to be that person. I used to have all types of thoughts running through my head. I didn't know what to do. I was so overwhelmed until you sit and collect yourself. You have to collect yourself. And then you have to know you're the only one in here. You control what goes on in your brain. There's no one outside of you that can control you except for you. And that is a hard pill for people to swallow, especially when you look at your life choices, you know? So when we're telling our story, see, I used to have a story that was so sad and pathetic. It was full of complaint and misery. It was full of why poor me, you know? That was the story I used to tell myself. Until one day I was like, is that true? Do I want that to be true? Do I want to be depressed? Do I want to be, I'm a hot mess? When I see people glorifying that shit, I'm like, please stop. It's not cute to live your life as a mess. It's not cute. It's not funny. Again, I say this all the time. Who is losing if I am not winning? Like, we have to think about these things because in our life, we have all these people that come and go, but like, we're the example for our families. We're the example for my cat is like trying to break in here so hard right now. We're the example for our people. So while you're sitting there, what is the story you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself that you're this old version who you used to be? Or are you really sitting with who you are right now and saying, I'm going to decide to be the best version of me? I'm going to decide what I need to do to get where I need to be. And that's the game changer. So while you're looking to see if the things that you're saying in your story, are they beneficial to you? What are they doing for your mindset? If you're sitting and you're telling yourself the story of yourself saying, I'm a loser, I'm not worthy of anything, I'm always miserable, I'm always sad, nobody loves me, nobody this. If you keep spinning that narrative, that's what you're gonna see more of. Everything that you focus on will expand in your life. So every time you sit there and you're like, oh, so-and-so hates me, this one hates me, that one hates me, you will see more people throwing daggers at you. However, you flip that now because you could change anything at any time. So what if you started approaching it as, I love everyone and everyone loves me? Because I had to do that for myself because I used to think everybody was against me. Nobody's against you. No one really cares that much. Truly. No one really gives a shit. There are people who don't want to see you win, but like, are people genuinely out to get you? Most people are just trying to keep their head above water. Most people are just existing the best they know how. I give people a lot of grace because I remember before I knew better, I was not doing better. So I give people a lot of grace now because I see where they're at. I allow them to be who they are, and I move accordingly because that's my job. Everything is our job. Like anything that you ever hear me talk about on this podcast moving forward in my whole lifetime, I'm always going to direct it back to you. What's going on in you that you're responding this way? What's going on with you that this is the perception you're having? This all goes back to us. I can't control anyone outside of me. Neither can you. You can only control how you show up in the world. So put the best foot forward. Put your best foot forward. If you know that you can create whatever story you want to, put your best foot forward. You can't create great miracles with shitty thoughts. How? You can't. Listen, it's really important to sit down with the story you're telling yourself. Who are you in this moment? Let's just say, I'm going to tell you mine, right? So for me, a few years ago, my story was, my name's Melissa. I'm a mom of 3. That was my big story. That was my claim to fame, is that I'm a mom, okay? However, I wound up meeting people who were like me. I wound up co-authoring a book. I wound up becoming a 2-time international best-selling author because of that book. Because of that book, so many opportunities opened for me. So when I first started all this, my name's Melissa. I'm going to maybe start a podcast one day. Maybe I'll do this. I might do this, but I don't know. Until it changed for me. I got serious about myself. Then I was like, all right, well, who am I now? I'm Melissa, a 2-time international best-selling author, comedian, podcast host. Like, I say these things confidently now, where before the story I told was not one of confidence at all. So I want you to sit with yourself now and say, okay, what does my story look like in this moment? And I want you to say to yourself that you're okay with where you're at this moment. It might not be where you want to be, but in this moment, I want you just to say thank you and be grateful for where you're at, because you're right on time. You might not think so. You're literally right on time. So you need to sit. You decide, who do I want to be? What do I wear? What do I smell like? What perfume am I wearing? What jewelry do I have on? What does my outfit look like? You need to think. We need to use these beautiful brains we have, because it's so easy to get caught up in everyone else's bullshit in their life. We're not doing that. This is the journey of you. It does not matter what anyone outside of you is doing. I don't care what you try to tell me. You're out of bounds. The minute you're worried about another human and what they're doing, you're out of bounds. You got to worry about yourself. You don't even know about you. Who are you to be talking about other people and what they're supposed to be doing when you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing? No, that's why you got to sit with yourself. That's why you need to say, okay, who am I in this moment? Insert here. Who are you? Think about it for a second. Now, you've thought about who you are. Now, who do you want to be? What is your biggest, boldest goal? Have you ever thought about if you were going to think of something so big and crazy? If you were going to think about something so big to like be earth-shattering in your life to happen for you, what would it be? What would it be? Like for me, like my big, bold goal is to just do what I'm doing. Like it's so crazy because I'm doing it. My biggest, boldest goal, I'm doing it. So now I got to dream bigger. That's why. So I'm just going to do a little sidebar real quick. I just put something out. It's called Think Big, Bigger, Biggest. The magic of thinking big. And it's going to be a Zoom. I'm going to do it on Sunday. $20 a person. I put all the info out for it. When I tell you, you can recreate your life. You can write the way you want it. You can have it the way you want it. Listen, now that you're asking yourself who you are, we're going to dream so big that it's going to make other people want to throw up. They're going to be so mad because you're just going to be living your best life and they're going to be like, ugh, I hate it. That's how good it is. Because for me, I'm like, God, show me how good it could get. And I don't mean Sky Daddy. So I hate that I have to put the disclaimer out, but I know people and words are like, no. I'm just saying, like, just throwing this out there. So now that we're looking at this, what does the version of you at your highest self look like? Like, how do you move? What are you driving? What kind of purse do you have? What kind of earrings are you wearing? What kind of top do you have on? What kind of shoes do you have on? Vision. Vision. We all can cast vision on our lives. It really is not hard, but it takes you sitting and going, wait, let me use my brain. What do I prefer? Like, I know all my favorite things. They're not surprises. I thought about it. I wanted to say, hey, Melissa, like, what do you like? Because before, when I was just momming it, I didn't know. I was just being a mom. What did I like? I don't know. Kids, napping, like chicken nuggets. Like, people really, that's the life I was living. I was homeschooling my kids. I was baking chicken nuggets and cleaning houses. Like, that was my life. Fast forward to now. Here I am, even on this podcast, being able to share my story so other people can share theirs safely and feel supported and loved on while they're doing it. Yes, please. I even have a community. If you guys are not on it, it's over on Facebook. The group of women, they're incredible. I don't know if any of you guys are on, but like, they're incredible. Supportive, loving, nurturing listeners in a group. It was made for affirmations, daily affirmations. And when I tell you, it blossomed into the most beautiful thing. So if you're looking for a community, come over on Facebook. look up the Inner Truth Collective, join, give a follow, however it comes up for you. Check it out. You're going to love it. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud. Because it's what I wanted. It's what I wanted and didn't think I could do. And I did it. And I love it. I love it. So now that you've thought about your life, thought about who you are, now you've thought about who you want to be and who you want to shove out into the world. Like for me, I recreated myself a million times. Because you can be whoever you want. You don't have to go by the definition of what someone else has for your life. No one could tell you the vision for your life. So if somebody outside of you is saying, oh, this is who you are, that's not for them to say. It's for you to discover. But until you sit and you ask yourself who you are, you're not going to know. You're not going to know. Sit down and decide what you prefer, how you like things, right? For yourself, what you're looking for in the world. Like these are important things that we don't ever even consider. So do that. Think about it deeply. Envision yourself as your highest self. Okay. So after you envision this and you have like, okay, I can see, like for me, I can see myself standing in front of a room full of people, walking across the stage. I have a cutie peplum top on, cute little pencil tight pants, heels, white shirt, blue pants, different haircut, different highlights. Like I see it. I see it in my head. I see it in my head first. Because if you don't take the time to create the thought, it's not going to happen for you. You must create a thought. You need to know what you prefer, what you like, what you want. Because if you do not say it, you will not get it. Sorry. Ask and ye shall receive. It's not a joke. You need to think the thought. After you think the thought, right? Now, here's where this is the fun part. You get quiet and you ask, what are my next steps? Right? What are my next steps? For me, I ask and I sit quietly. It doesn't always come to me right away. But even like this course I just created today, I asked out loud for another stream of revenue. This way I don't have to go clean. So in pops this idea. I created a graphic for it. I set a date for it. I set a price for it. I posted it. I posted it to everything in my social media, all over every app that I'm on, every platform knows I'm doing think big, bigger, biggest. The power of thinking big. Like if you want to be a part of that, everybody knows about it now. This is the stuff that we're going to be talking about, how to create the life of your dreams. But you can only do this when you take the time to sit and think. If you are not going to take the time to commit to yourself, it's not going to work. I'm sorry to tell you guys. I know people want instant gratification, quick fixes, da-da-da-da-da. What if I told you if you took a little bit of time with an actual inner fix, you'd never need a quick fix again. You would never need a quick fix. You would never be spiraling into depression. Oh, my anxiety's flaring up. Guys, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying you can control your emotions and your thoughts to the point where You don't have to let it control you. And I say that to you because I used to be this person. I used to not want to leave my house. I was on depression meds. I was on anxiety meds. I was fighting for my life in my own brain. Fighting for my life in my own brain. And that's most people. Most people are fighting for their life in their own brain, in this mental prison that they live in. That's what people are battling. Loneliness, being alone, painful. That feeling of being alone, like people are fighting for their lives out here. For me, I want to make sure the life I'm creating is a life that is filled with love and joy and happiness and peace. Like when you don't grow up with peace and you don't know what it is like, when you find it in your heart, what game changer. The peace you're looking for is inside of you. It's not outside of you. You're not going to find it in anybody. It's only in you. But I want you to sit now. Let's go over this again. We looked at who we are and we said thank you. Because you have to say thank you. You got to say thank you. Gratitude is number one. You have to say thank you for who you are. Then you're going to say, who do I want to be? What does that person look like, sound like, smell like, do, be, all the things, right? That's number 2. Number 3, you're going to get quiet. You're going to listen for what you're supposed to do. And then when you have the idea, you're going to know. You're going to know. People don't think they're going to know. You're going to know. When you ask out loud, on paper, I love to ask out loud and I write because the power of more than one outlet for something. Like for me, when I read the Diamond Sutra, I read it, like physically read it out loud, and then also wrote it. Because for me, for me to learn something, it works well for me to do that. And it makes things click for me. So I wanted to pick things up faster. So I decided to make systems for things. So even talking to you guys tonight, like this is a system for me. It keeps me organized. Like you got to take control of who you want to be. Like for me, it was, do you want to be dependent or dependable? Like I want people to be able to come to me because I'm a dependable human. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, that means a lot. I didn't have anybody to depend on. It's my pleasure and my honor to be a dependable person for people because I never had an experience before. It's crazy, but it's true. So that's why I'm telling you, when you look at who you want to be versus who people told you you were or who you thought you needed to be for other people, because we never are saying, who do I want to be? Who am I at my core, right? Who am I for real? Until you do. You might not like what you see. You might not like it. And that's okay. That is okay. That's the beauty of growth. You might not like who you are. It doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you won't. You just might not like right now. Because I know in the beginning, it didn't feel good when I was like changing. It wasn't a good feeling for me. It was gross. I felt judged. I felt shame. I felt, oh God, like so many disgusting things. I just felt like ew about myself. Now, no, That's not a thing. I reframed and rescripted who I am because it aligns with how I feel in my soul. So when you're sitting here and you're looking to recreate, make it your genuine version of you. So many people don't realize that they are actually a one of a kind, like limited edition. Everybody's collecting all these things, right? Like, do you not know that you're a limited edition? Like, we're all special. No one is like you. That is your superpower. And that's where people fumble the ball because they think they're supposed to be like other people. They want to be like other people. They want to follow what other people are doing instead of going, wait, if I do it my way, people are going to like it anyway. If I do it my way, people like that. Like, you have to serve in a way that you're being true to yourself. Like, you cannot sit and be fake. Well, you can because people do it all the time. But you cannot be fake and sit in people's faces and think that your heart is going to resonate with them. Like, you might be there, but are you connecting on like a soul level with people? I don't know. Like, for me, that's important. Like, connection is very important. Speaking to people is a craft. Like, people are really nasty and mean to people unnecessarily just because other people talk to them like that. And like, for me, again, I looked at myself as a person, and I remember one point where I didn't like how I was speaking to other people, and I didn't like how I was getting spoken to. So it really, for me, like, I wanted to change the way I was behaving. I didn't like yelling in my house. I didn't like talking shit to people. Like, it didn't feel good. I wanted to do more of what felt good. And I think the power of our story and telling our story, you get to choose what your storytelling is. Are you telling people that your life's so terrible and horrible and no good and very bad? Or when they say, how's your day? You're like, it's incredible. I'm having the best day ever. Like, there are people out there that say that because I'm one of them. I'm having the best day ever. I hope you have the best day ever too. Because whatever you're putting out to people is what you're going to get back. So when other people are cursing people out, send them love and healing because you're going to get that back. But if you send out like daggers, you're going to get that back too. You don't want that. We're trying to build and grow here, guys. We're trying to create miracles. We're trying to make our life look incredible. We're trying to get to the next level so that we're not sitting and floundering in filth. We don't need to do that. And that's what a lot of people are doing because their mindset is trash. We don't need to do that. We need to build each other up. And especially women, men also, because men get the short end of the stick with mental health and all that stuff too. But really, like, if we all sat and really thought about the story we told ourselves, do you know how powerful that would be? If everybody sat and said, what am I telling myself? And what could I make better? Because the most important thing you can do with anything you're doing is to transmute the energy. So you may feel at this point that you don't know what to do or you feel stuck. That's okay. Let's flip it to the other side. We're not going to say, what are we going to do? We're going to say, I'm going to get into action. So you've asked now. You decided, you saw who you are in this moment. You decide who you want to be. So now you ask for direction. Now you got to get into action. Once you get into action with what you're doing, that's when you're going to see results, because we can talk about things all day long. You could tell me about all those books you read. You can tell me about all the dittos you drew on, all the coloring books you colored. I don't care. What action are you doing? So once you decide who you want to be, you ask, what are my steps to get there? When you know your steps, right? You have to get into action. Now you implement the steps. You don't implement them for a day and then be like, this didn't work for me. Why am I not at the top of my whatever? Like, are you? No, that's no, 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 no. That's not how this works. When you make a decision, right? So you decide, I'm going to be this person. Melissa is going to be traveling all over the country, all over stages, speaking life into people about their purpose and talking about God and all these things I'm going to be doing, right? That's what I'm going to be doing. So what are you guys going to be doing? You get to pick. Write it down. Why are you still sitting home on the weekends? Why are you still not living? No answer. Because we don't think we can. But we can. You can do great things. It starts with defining who you are to begin with. It's going to change. It's going to change. This was not always the version of me that you would get. There's no way I could have been here then. No. I'm telling you, this stuff is very possible. You get into action. You repeat the action over and over and over and over until you get what you want. You don't stop. People stop. They quit. I don't tell the story of a quitter. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. That is one thing you have to promise to yourself and then keep the promise. That is powerful. If you've never kept a promise to yourself, I implore you to find something. Find a habit you want to break, a story you want to change, something you need to do that you have been avoiding. Change it. And not just for one day. Because see, a habit, people like to say, because people love to regurgitate whatever they hear. When you're creating a habit, on average, it takes, do you have a pen? You ready? On average, it takes 66 days to have a habit that you create and fluidly do. 66 days is the magic number. Okay? So when you're sitting and you're doing your steps, you're not going to do it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You just keep doing the action daily. Daily. There is no reason for you not to. Listen, the steps are not hard. We make things harder than they need to be. I'm sorry to tell you guys. I hate being this person. I used to be you guys too. I used to be like, yeah, no, you're lying. Listen to me. You can get wherever you need to be in life when you make a decision to be that person. How am I going to be an international best-selling author if I don't make a decision to do these things? How can I say to people, I'm doing XYZ if I'm not? I had to decide to do these things. No one told me you have to go write a magazine article. Melissa. Melissa said, "You are going to write a magazine article, Melissa." And I sat down and I wrote it in like a half hour. Andrew, so I sat down and wrote it a half hour and submitted it, got it published. We make things harder than they have to be. That is a blank. That's true for everybody. Everyone makes things harder than they need to be. Doesn't have to be hard. You can do these things. You have to make a decision. When you make a decision and stand on it, that's when the action can actually start like really making moves in your life. Because let's just say that you want to be a certain type of person, but you never decide. It's always just in the back of your mind. Oh, I'd love to go and run a marathon one day. But do you really want to run the marathon, or it just sounded good? Is it adding value to your life? Is it in alignment with who you are? Is it part of your soul's purpose? Have you asked what your soul's purpose is? You know, this podcast is not the usual. We're not talking about like steak and potatoes here, guys. We're talking about like your soul's purpose. Getting in alignment with who you are at a soul level. When you sit and you say, okay, this is who I am in this moment, and I love you for that. Like, I love me in this moment for who I am at this moment. Does that mean I'm where I want to be? No. And every day I'm going to push my needle forward to get where I have to go. What does that look like for me? That looks like getting up early, writing affirmations, sitting with myself, having an internal dialogue, checking in on me, on my emotions before I deal with anybody outside of me. How do I look getting up and not being collected, and then having to deal with my kids getting ready for school and all that stuff? Back then, I'd be screaming. I'd be frustrated. But when you take a little bit of time to collect yourself, to organize and prioritize your inner well-being, even if that looks like getting up at 5:30 and having coffee, doesn't mean you have to do anything. It's the habit you have to create. There was a time when I was doing this in the beginning, getting up at 5:30. I would get up at 5:30. I would offer to run trainings at 5:30 and 6 in the morning just to have other people with me. Just so I had other people there to do it with me, because it was so hard to do alone. But when you take accountability and you find other people that also want to do those things, it's really cool, because then you have each other. That is why I'm like loving this community. I am loving the Inner Truth Collective over on Facebook. I built it. I've been adding people. People have been adding people. We have a chat with affirmations. I mean, if you're looking to come to somewhere that you feel safe and supported, and you're able to share your heart, you'll learn things. You're going to learn affirmations, how to write them the right way, because a lot of people don't write them the right way. And like, there's a lot that goes into being us as people. But when do we ever take the time? You have to start at start. Do not look at other people's journey and go, oh, well, here's Melissa. Melissa knows da da da. Don't worry about me. This is not about me. Your journey is about you. Do not be looking at what other people are doing. I don't even know how I got here. Do not be looking at other people. Every day I get up and I'm like, infinite intelligence within me that knows all things. Please align me with my highest good. Allow me to say what I need to say, hear what I need to hear, know what I need to know, and speak what I need to speak under grace and perfect ways. Whatever happens after that, it's out of my hands. I kiss it up. I do what I am told to. I am obedient to what I hear. If I'm sitting here and I hear you need to go do XYZ, I do it. I don't care if it sounds crazy. I never did. I remember the day I was walking one day and I was literally like, I wonder what my purpose is here on this planet. Out of nowhere. And when I thought about it, I was like, you've been through so much. How are you not sharing this with people? People are going through this alone, feeling alone. They don't have anybody. And how are you not sharing? You're being selfish by not sharing. Do you know how many people are going through things and they don't have anyone to talk to? They don't have anybody who's experienced it. I've had my parents die. I've had so many tragedies in my life to speak to. It would be selfish of me to not share what I know with other people to help their hearts heal. What kind of monster? Like, that's how deep it is for me. For other people, they don't give a shit. I don't care. For me, it's that deep. If I know that I went through something and I can help you heal faster instead of sitting for months on end pining away over some crap that doesn't really matter, I'm absolutely going to help you. Even listen, I drop seeds. You pick them up, you do, you don't, they blossom, they don't, they don't. It's okay. I drop the knowledge I have because it served me well. The things that I have learned over time, over years, has served me very well. And I'm extremely proud of what I've built because this has not been overnight. If you've seen it. I have grown and done so many things, but it's because I decided the story I had in my head about myself was going to change. Because the story I was telling myself was of this weak, meek little, oh, poor Melissa. Oh, had throat surgery, lost a vocal cord, poor Melissa. Like I was living in this poor me until I decided that doesn't have to define me. It doesn't have to define me. None of it. Not my felony, not addiction, not anything I went through does not have to define me. I can make a conscious decision to re-script my paradigm. So what I did was I sat down and I said, who are you? Who do you want to be? How are you going to get there? And then I worked on myself every freaking day since because there is nobody on this planet that can do the work for you. And if you think you can shortcut and do all these things, you can. You're going to wind up right back where you were. Doesn't matter. Don't matter to me because I'm doing the work. I have to. I don't have a choice. It's who I am, like as a person. Like my life on this earth is to do my inner work, to show other people that you can do it, to show other people the possibilities. When you tap into yourself, you trust yourself instead of everyone around you. When you start doing these things for yourself, the shackles are going to fall off of you. The shackles on your life are going to fall off when you start claiming what is yours. When you start saying, I'm worthy, when you start being like, no, I'm the prize. Yes, I am a prize. Yes. When you can sit there and confidently say that shit and know that in your heart, changes everything. Changes everything. You got to know who you are. I want you to sit down. We're going to go over this. If you need a pen, I wish maybe I'll type it in the comments while we're here. First thing you have to do, you have to look at who you are. Look at who you are. Let's see. Look at who you are and who you want to be. Once you do these things, you look at who you are, who you want to be. Then you're going to, I love this. You're going to sit and say who you are, like who am I right in this moment? Thank you. Thank you for who I am. And I might not be where I want to be, but I'm going to get there. Then you're going to sit. You're going to vision your life for what you want it to look like. You're going to cast the vision for yourself because you have to be able to see it. You have to see it in your mind. Think the thought. See the vision. Now you're going to get quiet and you're going to say, what are my next steps to get there? What are my next steps? After you ask what your next steps are, you're going to take the steps. You can write them down. Write down the steps. And then you're going to get into action. And not just once. You're going to get into action every day, over and over and over, until the thing you want to see becomes something on the outside of you. Again, habits take at least 66 days, not 21 like people regurgitate. No. 66 days for a habit. You have to do something 66 days in a row for it to become an automatic response. So if you start today, what was December 12th? So today, this is such a huge day to release old energy, things that are no longer in alignment with you. Throw them away. Sit down tonight. Write out on a piece of paper. Write out the things that are no longer serving you in your life. Look at it. What habits are really fucking with you? Like, what's going on in your life that is not serving you? You're going to write them down. Then on the paper, you're going to write down like the opposite. If you have things you're releasing, now we're going to write in what we're going to bring in. The things you're releasing, burn that paper. Go outside tonight and burn that paper. Go burn it. Listen to me, everything is nature. Everything is made from something. When you take paper, write on it with a pencil. So wood, paper, pencil, all comes from wood, from a tree, from the ground. When you take that and you burn that, the energy will release. Burn the paper. You have this other paper now with all the things that you want to bring in. You have to focus your intention in order to get the results that you desire. If you are thinking constantly about a ghetto, crappy life, right? If you're constantly thinking like that, you're going to see more of that. If you switch and you go to an abundance mindset and a gratitude mindset, you're going to see more things blossom in your life. You're going to see more things to be happy about. You're going to see more things to be grateful for that you might not have seen before. Because if you're constantly looking for something crappy, you're going to find it. That's what happens. You have to sit and you got to decide, what is it that I want to see in my life? What is it that I can focus my intention on to get me where I need to be? So we've gone through this now. I've gone over this with you. Your job, if you choose to accept it, is to do this. I want you to sit down and ask yourself, who are you? And what is the story you're telling yourself? Is it you? Is it true? Is the story you're telling yourself true? Is the nobody loves me story true? Is the, oh, nobody wants to help me, nobody does this, da da da. Is it true, or is it you? Because a lot of times when we're looking at everybody else and what they're doing, it's because we're not focused on us. You have to focus on yourself. The intention must be on yourself. If you want to get ahead, if you want to be successful, you cannot focus on other people. You have to focus on your life and making your life better. You're going to focus on improving your life, not ragging on other people about what they're not doing, because we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. Focus your intention on people and things that are going to add value to your life. Stop wasting your time and energy on people who do not reciprocate it to you. I know we dropped a lot on here tonight, and I'm loving this whole thing, because when I think of the story I used to tell myself to what the story is now for me, it's night and day. So I showed you guys it is possible. Like, if you need help, that is what I'm here for. I have one-on-one sessions. I have Zoom sessions. Your mindset has to change for your outside world to change. If you're not starting in here, you will not see it in the physical. If you need help and you want guidance, I am here for that. But it takes you deciding, I'm going to change. I'm going to put the work in to change. I'm going to do different things. We're going to take old habits and get rid of them, and we're going to bring in new ones. And when I tell you, when you decide who you want to be and the story aligns with how you feel on the inside, you're going to be unstoppable. You are going to be unstoppable. I love it. I love it so much. So it's almost 9:30. We've been on here almost an hour already, which is crazy. It doesn't even feel like it. But I just want to recap really quick what we talked about. It's what the story that you're telling yourself. I want you guys to know whatever story that is. I promise you, I need you to sit with yourself and say, is it true? And know that anything that's going on in here, you're the only one in there. There's nobody else that can tell you about you. You know who you are. Now it's time for you to define that. Get clear, sit down, write who you want to be, who you are, who you want to be. Now we're going to get the steps to get you there. You're going to get into action, and you're going to see that develop in your life. If you need accountability, I'm here for that too. I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful for everybody who shared this time with me tonight. I'm going to be back next Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I will have a guest on with me. Her name is Tiana Parker. I'm so excited to have her on. So that is next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's what I got for tonight, guys. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope you learned something. Put this into practice. I put this in the comments so you guys have it. But I want you to know it takes a decision. It takes you saying yes to yourself, and then you actually following through with the promise that you're going to make to yourself. And maybe, just maybe, write a letter to yourself saying, I love you. I promise I'm going to do this. Decide who you are right now in this moment and get into action to create the version of you that you want to see. It doesn't have to take years. It doesn't have to take years. Decide who you want to be now. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. I love you. Have a great week. Bye.